Welcome to the Tyranny of Hope, where we bridge the gap between therapy and everyday life. I'm West Breedlove, your host, and this podcast is all about putting therapeutic concepts into practice. Each episode, we'll tackle real-world challenges, from setting boundaries to healing trauma, from mending relationships to overcoming addictions. You'll hear from counselors and learn practical strategies you can use right away. So whether you're in therapy or just focused on personal growth, you're in the right place. Let's turn hope into action and make real progress together. This is the Tyranny of Hope. Hello and welcome to the Tyranny of Hope. This is West, and today we're going to be exploring John Gottman's groundbreaking book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. Gottman is known for his research-based insights on what makes marriages last. With over 40 years of studying couples, he's discovered behaviors that predict lasting success and pitfalls that often lead to disconnection. We'll dive into each principle and give you practical takeaways to try in your own relationships. To set the stage, let's look at Gottman's approach. His research at the Love Lab, which kind of sounds kind of kinky, but that's what he called it. It was a lab, literally, where he observed thousands of couples interacting, which allowed him to identify the patterns and behaviors that make or break marriages. And one of his most well-known discoveries was the concept of the Four Horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. These behaviors are destructive, and if left unchecked, they can erode the foundation of any relationship. So what are these four horsemen? 1, criticism. This goes beyond just complaining about a specific behavior. It targets the person's character. For example, instead of just saying like, hey, I'm upset that you didn't take out the trash, criticism might sound like, you just never think about my needs. You're so lazy. Okay, criticism tends to escalate conflict and make the other person feel attacked. And then there's contempt, the horseman of contempt. This is the most damaging of the four horsemen, and it includes sarcasm, eye-rolling, name-calling, hostile humor. When someone feels contempt for their partner, it can lead to feelings of worthlessness and deep disconnection. Gottman found that contempt is the single greatest factor of divorce because it conveys disrespect and disgust toward one's partner. And then there's defensiveness. This is the third horseman. When people feel attacked, it's natural to respond with defensiveness. And this could mean making excuses, shifting blame, or responding with a counterattack. For example, if one partner says, you didn't tell me you were going to be out with your friends tonight, a defensive response might be, well, you didn't tell me you were working late last week. And this behavior prevents couples from taking responsibility and just creating more tension. And then last, there's stonewalling. This is the fourth horseman. Stonewalling happens when one partner withdraws from the conversation entirely, just totally shutting down instead of responding. And this could mean like giving the silent treatment, looking away, leaving the room. Gottman found that stonewalling often comes up when one partner feels overwhelmed, but it leaves the other feeling abandoned or ignored. So, the four horsemen can creep into any relationship. But awareness is that first step to countering them. Gottman's 7 principles provides couples with these tools to replace such behaviors with healthier ones, creating a foundation for long-lasting connection. Principle 1, enhance your love maps. What's a love map? Having a love map means truly knowing your partner's inner world. According to Gottman, couples who actively engage in each other's lives tend to stay emotionally close, even through their difficulties. And this is where small gestures like checking in about a stressful day or remembering their favorite food, their comfort food, makes a difference. Like, let's pretend we have a couple. I like to use Wendy and Ronald because they're just, you know, fast food people. Let's say that Wendy and Ronald have been married for 5 years. Wendy feels some stress at work, but Ronald hasn't asked about it lately. And as a result, Wendy feels distant and Ronald doesn't care about her day to day stuff, right? She feels, like he just doesn't care. And then one night, Ronald decides to start reconnecting by asking some specific questions like, hey, what's been challenging for you at work? Or is there anything I can do to help? And over time, these little small check ins are going to help them both feel closer and more supported. So if you're in a relationship, maybe take a few minutes tonight to ask your partner about something that's been on their mind lately, even if it's small. You might find this actually strengthens your understanding and keeps you attuned to what's important to them. Okay? All right. Principle 2. Nurture your fondness and admiration. Fondness and admiration act as the antidote to criticism and contempt. Gottman's research shows that regularly noticing and vocalizing what we appreciate in our partner is powerful. This doesn't mean everything's perfect, but it helps you to focus on the good. So remind yourself why you're grateful for your partner and tell them about it. So back to Ronald and Wendy. Pretend that they've hit a rough patch, okay? And they just seem to only notice each other's flaws. And they decide to try an admiration exercise. So each night, they share one thing they appreciated about each other that day. And one night, Wendy mentions, I really appreciate how hard you work to take care of our family. And Ronald's like, I am just so grateful for your warmth and kindness, Wendy. And over time, these small acknowledgments start shifting their focus back to what they love about each other, helping to repair their bond. And so maybe if you're in a relationship, married, engaged, dating, a simple way to practice this is going to be 3 things I admire. 3 things I admire. So tonight, take turns sharing 3 things you admire about the other one. I mean, it could be as small as I appreciate how you make coffee for me in the morning, or as big as I love how dedicated you are to our family. Principle 3, turn toward each other instead of away. Turning toward each other means responding to your partner's bids for connection. It's about engaging with each other's world, even in like everyday moments. Gottman's research found that couples who regularly respond to these bids feel more supported and valued. So back to Ronald and Wendy. One evening, Wendy, who really loves documentaries, says, hey, look at this new documentary, Ronald. I think you'd like it. This is a bid. It's really small, but it's a bid for connection. It's a bid for Ronald to engage with her. And if Ronald just brushes it off, Wendy's going to feel dismissed. And yet, if he responds with some interest, oh, that does look good, honey. Mind if I sit and watch it with you? It reinforces that closeness, you know? These little moments are going to add up, and Ronald and Wendy are going to feel valued and seen, which is going to keep their connection strong. So how can you do this today with your partner? Try consciously responding to your partner's bids today. All right? Really be on the lookout. Notice their attempts to connect with you, even if it's like really brief and it's in their own style that you might not kind of use for yourself. Look out for them, right? And engage with them. These little small moments are going to be what builds your resilience and trust. All right, principle 4. Let your partner influence you. Letting your partner influence you means valuing their opinion